cerebrum is the largest part of the brain and it has two cerebral hemispheres. It is responsible for coordinating the activities for other parts of the brain and has voluntary responses.
The frontal lobe is our brain's primary motor skills. It's responsible for our movement, reasoning, problem solving, happiness, long-term memory, and taste. We also use it to speak. This is also the most common place for injuries.
The parietal lobe is near the center of the brain. It's responsible for our body's sensation, touch, temperature, and pain.
The occipital lobe is located at the back of the brain. It's responsible for our vision. It holds different areas for visual communication where visual images are received and interpreted.
It's responsible for our hearing. It has the Wernicke's area, which allows us to understand language and its meaning. Damage to this area can cause you to forget and not able to remember new memories.
The cerebellum is separated from the brainstem by the fourth ventricle. It has two hemispheres of white matter. It receives sensory input from the eyes, ears, joints, and muscle and motor output from the cerebral cortex. It maintains posture and balance, ensuring a smooth, coordinated, voluntary movement and assists in learning new motor skills.
Okay, in the central nervous system, the thalamus and hypothalamus are under the diencephalon. Some facts of the thalamus would be: functions are a sensory relay sensor, participates in emotion and memory, and is involved in the arousal of the cerebrum. Some interesting facts about the hypothalamus would be: it is the integrating center involved in homeostasis. It regulates hunger, sleep, and thirst, body temperature, and water balance. It links between the nervous system and the endocrine systems.
Well, the insula is a very deep portion within a brain. It is involved with our consciousness, perception, motor control, self-awareness, and cognitive functioning.
Its pathway connects the cerebral cortex and temporal lobes in the thalamus and hypothalamus. It causes emotion and is involved in memory and learning. It is also inferior to the cerebral cortex.
The brainstem contains three things: the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The midbrain is the relay station between the spinal cord and the cerebellum, and the reflex center for visual, auditory, and tactile responses. The pons has bundles of axons traveling between the cerebellum and central nervous system and helps regulate our breathing rate. The medulla oblongata contains vital reflex centers for vomiting, coughing, sneezing, hiccuping, and swallowing. This is much in action during the springtime.
It extends from the base of the brain to the lumbar vertebrae and is protected by our vertebrae column. It has centrally located gray and white matter that provides sensory and motor information from the brain. The spinal cord's function is to communicate between our brain and peripheral nerves, also our reflexes. Our motor neurons comes from the central nervous system to our muscles, organs, and glands. Our sensory neurons goes from sensory receptors to the central nervous system.
Our news on gray and white matter and meninges are that gray matter contains cell bodies and unmyelinated fibers, and white matter contains myelinated axons. Meninges are protective membranes of the central nervous system and has an outer, middle, and deep meninx.
Its main functions is to connect the central nervous system to the limbs and internal organs, serving as a communication relay between the brain and extremities. It is composed of nerve and ganglia. It has subdivisions. Afferent, which is sensory, which has somatic and visceral sensory, serves the skin, skeletal muscles, joints, and tendons, has visceral supplies to internal organs. And efferent, motors. Somatic motor systems carry commands from the central nervous system to the skeleton. Autonomic motor system regulates cardiac and smooth muscle.
The central peripheral nervous system also has cranial and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves has 12 has sensory, motor, and mixed nerves, and is mostly involved with the head, neck, and facial regions. Spinal nerves has 31 pairs that are placed based on their location in relation to the vertebrae and has mixed fibers. The peripheral nervous system also has somatic and autonomic motor systems. The somatic motor nervous system has voluntary actions and reflexes are involuntary responses. The autonomic system has visceral reflexes that assist in the maintenance of homeostasis. It has two divisions that function automatically and involuntarily, innervates all organs, and utilizes two motor neurons and one ganglion for each impulse.
It has a flight or fight, which means a division that releases a chemical that accelerates our heartbeat and dilates the bronchi. And a rest and digest division where ACH is the neurotransmitter and promotes digestion of food, slows heart rate, and decreases strength of cardiac contraction.